And
there might be some questions from the audience as well.
Sure, no worries.
We are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Trent and Paul for joining us, and thank you for joining us for our third Lego Masters chat this season. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Trent and Paul for joining us, and thank you.
Oh,
that was a bit of feedback from my side. Amateur hour. How are you guys doing today?
We're great.
Yeah,
thank
really
you.
Good. Thank you. Yeah.
So we're just curious to see how your experience with Lego Masters has been. We've been watching along eagerly over the last couple of weeks, and all the different sort of episodes and builds that you've been doing. How have you enjoyed the experience so far?
Oh, it's been terrific.
Yeah,
to be honest,
awesome.
we were quite nervous because our general level of experience is set building. So we haven't made a lot of amazing mocks and things. So came in sort of knowing we were sort of probably the underdogs. But the crew and the cast could not be more wonderful. We've had a really lovely experience.
Yeah, super encouraging. And even when we were feeling a little deflated at times, everyone was really complimentary and trying to encourage us as much as they could, because we were learning on the spot. Really, to be honest, that's what we were doing, and so we came a long way to where we got to on the show. So we're really excited that we learned so much. Yeah,
and really we became family. Like, I know that sounds really sort of lame and what have you, but because we literally all lived together. So due to COVID, we were locked in a hotel together 24/7, and if we weren't in the hotel, we were on set. So we spent almost 3 months just all together.
Yeah.
So it could have gone terribly. We could have all ended up hating each other, but it actually went the other way. We actually had a lot of fun. We had movie nights and Mexican nights and Italian nights. And so there was fun both on and off the set. So it was a really lovely thing to do. And I encourage anyone who has an interest in doing the show, go for it, because it's a really wonderful experience.
So I have a question that is just a burning question. So you said like 3 months. So does that mean that even when people get eliminated first, like Andrew and Crystal, they still spend the whole 3 months there with you, but they're not coming onto set?
No. So they have a really bizarre policy where it changed a little bit for some people. But the initial policy is that once you left those doors, when Rick had said goodbye and we'd all done our sort of hugs and cries and you leave, they whisk you away. So Crystal and Andrew literally were just whisked away, and the producers took us all at the back when we all sort of, got our tears and things under control, and said, that's the last you'll see them now till the finale. So they were taken to a new hotel. They packed up while we were on set. And so it went from there. Yeah. So
it's really harsh.
Quite a big thing that I had them go, and then we don't see them.
Wow. God. Okay. Yeah, that's like what was Big Brother?
Yeah. Once you're eliminated, you move on. Basically, it's a bit brutal, but it is, reality TV. Let's be honest. It is what it is. Lego Masters is not, Lego Olympics. It's a reality TV show. So follow the same pathways as reality TV. Yeah.
I think
sorry, you go.
I think the reason they do that is, how it was explained to us, was that there could be a lot of FOMO about what you might be missing out on. And
absolutely.
They try and do is sever that link so that they're not sort of continually asking us, what happened today at work and what did you build today and what have you. So they try and, I guess, spare both parties. So the eliminated don't feel like they have access to that information. So they're not always wondering, and they probably may be at home, but they're not getting the feedback from the competitors who are still in the competition. So
it just allows you to move on.
Yeah, try and have that move on.
Yeah.
It must be hard to request like 3 months off and then come back in the first 2 weeks, though. Like,
yeah.
Is it 2 weeks? I think it's minimum of a month, isn't it? For
minimum of a month.
Until the
Yeah,
first
I think 3 months is just that's for some people. Generally, it just depends on how you've gone in the show.
No spoilers, Trent.
Like it just depends.
Yeah, no spoilers. But so what we did was we very nicely. I actually have. I'm a partner in a vet practice, so I could sort of say, well, I'm going to take some leave here now. And Trent is a teacher, so he took some without pay. And we had a lovely come and house sit our dogs. And so we said, we'll see you back in a month because we assume he'd be off first go. And we had to keep ringing up saying, do you mind staying another week? Do you mind staying another week? Do you mind staying another week? So it got to a stage where Chloe would just say, will you ring me when you need me to leave? And then I'll move back in the house. So we were really lucky. And so it was really lovely in the build last night, for example, Chloe organised to have our dogs go down to work and they added them into the show. So it was just wonderful to see those last night. So it was wonderful.
Trent, you cried when you saw the pups, didn't you? And that made me cry.
Yeah. I was experiencing, particularly that build, I was experiencing a lot of homesickness. We had a tough build that episode, and so ultimately I was just like, oh my God, I could not be here. And I could be at home with my puppies. But yeah, it was just like, oh, that's my life outside of Lego Masters. So it was pretty hard hitting, really, but it did help us get past our, because it was literally 3/4 into that build and we were going nowhere. We had not experienced that prior to that. We've always been quite cohesive. I don't know what it was. I do know that Branko and Max leaving really did affect everyone. It was a pretty quiet room that day, and we were all feeling it. And I guess it just made us feel quite homesick. And I don't know, we just couldn't. It was just like this the whole time. So thankfully they brought the dogs on, and it made us at least come together enough to get something on the plate.
It made you love each other again.
Yeah, right. It was very fortunate it wasn't elimination because it was pretty bad.
Oh, I loved your werewolf hotel.
Oh, thank you.
It was amazing, and the face looked really. I thought it looked really great. I don't know what Brickman was talking about.
It had.
If we had another couple more hours, we could have fixed it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just, it was one of those time things. But, it was a really fun idea of these transforming werewolves bathing under a 24-hour moon, and that's their resort to go to. And there was just fun things, and we love putting fun things into the build. So ultimately, once we got to that point and we were putting those fun things in, we got our mojo back.
Yeah. So we had little sheep as porters, and they were the wolves in sheep clothing. So they were carrying over suitcases, and we had the little, the kennels all had their little toy dog in them and water bowls. So we love the fun side of that. The storytelling, what we really like about Lego is being able to tell a cute story or a funny story with those minifigures. So we get a big kick out of being able to sort of add that sort of humor to it. So the brothers Grimm, Henry and Joss, they very much like the scary, but so we tend to go more for the cutesy rather than the scary.
They don't show enough of that detail for the viewers like us that to show. We're trying to see the cool things in it, like with Andrew and Crystal, they didn't show the whole back of their Amelia Earhart plane, and it might have been because it had human remains, which they found a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing because you don't often get, when they do their sort of hero photos and hero pics of that, you're not in the room with the camera people, so you can't really direct them to say, look, it would be really good if you showed this angle or if you came in from this side. That's done behind the scenes without us being there. So I agree with you. I think sometimes if you were there to say, look, we're really great if you showed the shot from this area, or if you sort of able to zoom into this bit of humor or this bit of a storyline, I think the viewers at home would get a little bit more of a how the artist wanted it to be viewed at. Because I think that is about that interpretation, is that I know that art's up for interpretation generally, but often if you're there to say, this is how I would really like that painting hung, it's a bit like, this is how I like my image seen by the camera.
Yeah.
So,
I can't imagine they're too interested in how you want it to be seen anyway. Sorry,
yeah.
Wade. What did you say, Wade?
You should leave sticky notes for the cameramen. Take it from
Actually, the camera crew are actually fantastic people. We were lucky in that because we sort of talk a lot, we sort of met everybody that was doing things. So we made friends with the pit fairies, and we made friends with the camera people, and it really is just a big family show. Like there's no prima donnas. There's no sort of, it's not trying to make you ever look bad. It's not like sort of maths where there's like villains and they try and make stories. It's just a really lovely family sort of show. Yeah.
Is that what made you guys want to apply for Lego Masters as opposed to maths? Or some, I don't know, My Kitchen Rules. I don't watch any other reality TV shows.
One already married.
Yeah, true.
That's somewhat challenging. Also, I'd probably need to be 30 years younger.
30 years younger.
Very much more attractive.
16, that's not right.
Yeah, no, you're right. We did a telethon recently for Channel 9 in Brisbane, and we met some maths people, and they were just lovely. And I went, how does the show turn these people into these other people?
No, but they were the good ones, apparently.
But I think so. Well, it was a really weird story for us. So we had actually applied for the very first season. And at that stage, you had to do a video as part of your audition. And I didn't know how to make a video because I'm computer useless. So I sort of stopped my audition at that point and just said, oh, well, Lego Masters not for us. And so then they rang us to say, oh, you haven't completed your audition. Would you like to go ahead with that? And I was really honest. And I said, oh, look, I fill in the written part, but then I just don't know how to make a video. And so they said, well, why don't we just do a Zoom? So we did a Zoom with the casting.
Did someone say geriatric?
Sure. So we did a casting sort of Zoom, and we just sort of laughed and bantered and did our usual shtick. And they said, look, if you hear back from us, then it will go the next step forward. So anyway, about a week later, they did ring us back and they said, look, you've got through the next round. Congratulations, and we're going to put your audition through. Can you send us through some photos of some things you've built and some pictures of ourselves, which we did. And then they said the next step would be, the final call will be, you'll come down and we'll do an audition and you're on the show. And so this was our first wedding anniversary, and we had flown into Wellington, and literally we're just pulling up at the airport, at our hotel from the airport, and Lego rang to say, congratulations, you're on the show. And I had to embarrassingly say, when do you start filming? And they said, next week. And I went, we're on our first wedding anniversary holiday, and so we won't be able to make it. So, and I think they were quite shocked that we were turning them down for the show, but it was just a really bad timing. So we declined the offer to go any further in the competition.
Would have been easier.
Did you know the dates that you were going to be filming those? So did you just think you weren't going to get on?
Yeah, so we hadn't sort of heard, and we sort of thought, well, that's going to be fine. So it'll be, that was a nice do, and we'll just. And our anniversary couldn't change. So our anniversary is our anniversary. So we were there. And so then they have contacted us each year since then to see whether we'd like to reapply. Right. But it's always been in Melbourne. And so living in Newcastle, it was going to be hard to do the whole Melbourne.
It's hard to work out with work. That's a long time. Yeah.
And now it's in Sydney or Newcastle. Yeah. It's harder for.
Well, originally we thought, great, it's going to be Sydney, so we can definitely apply this time,
because we thought we'd be able to come home for weekends, and I could still do some shifts in my vet practice on a weekend, and see our dogs every week.
We'd gotten through, and then they said, oh, actually, you're going to be in lockdown the entire time.
Yeah.
So that threw just like us in a spin, because it's like we've got dogs to look after. We've, you know, I've got work that I need to like maintain, like what's going on in my classroom. So it was.
And so for the second time, I declined. I said, thank you, but we can't do the show because it won't work. So they said, oh, well, are you really sure? And I said, well, give me 24 hours. If I can find a house sitter for our dogs, we'll say yes to the offer. Yeah. So I rang around my nurses, and very lovely Chloe, one of my lovely nurses at work, said, I'd be happy to do that. So then I rang back and said, actually, we can do it. Okay. And the casting company was so funny. She said, now I'm going to put this forward to the producer. This is a once, twice, you're all done, sold. It will there be any chance you're going to cancel us again? And I said, no, we're into the long haul now. Lock it in, Eddie. We're on our way. So, yeah, so that was our weird story to get back into it. And the audition process was hilarious because they delivered us a box of sealed Lego in a suitcase.
Because of COVID, they couldn't do the audition in the in the studio or whatever. So it had to be delivered.
And they had to delay our audition because the first set of Lego all went missing. All the suitcases that were supposed to be delivered to the local area, the people are obviously in our Hunter, Sydney area, they couldn't find. Toll had lost them. And I'd taken a day off work to do the audition and had to go back to work because there was no Lego had arrived.
Oh, no.
So when it did arrive, they give you the suitcase and then they say you can't open it until we give you the code the morning of the audition. So they rang us through with an audition number and we sort of entered into the code an hour before the Zoom started. And we opened up this Lego box and it was just this multi-coloured sort of the worst classic Lego set you've ever seen. in a great suitcase, and we just looked at the other and said, what are we going to do with this? So and then the Zoom, because you're all in different locations, you're sort of meeting people via the screen or via your computer screen. So we actually were in the same audition Zoom as Dan from Kirsty and Dan.
Yeah.
So it's really funny because we didn't know each other at all from that. And there was other people around, obviously. And we did all the things that a TV show would love. We dropped stuff. We built something that was too big and we had to make it too small. We had an argument halfway through that, you built your thing too big. No, you built your thing too small.
What did you build?
So we did it. Oh, this sounds hilarious. There's a bit of a joke on the show, actually. We put a dog in a box. So we had to make a character with a story.
Uh-huh.
So I built a Dachshund dog puppy, and Trent built a Christmas present box. Like vets would always say, never give a dog for Christmas. But we actually built a dog in a box. Yeah. But while Trent's building his box, I'm building my dog. We're not really concentrating on who's doing what size. So Trent built a box you could put a German Shepherd in, like a live one. and I built a Dachshund you could hold in your hand. So we had this very tall box and this very small dog. So we had to go right.
Panic stations.
Yeah. So
it was like the red light went off.
Yeah, it was like the 1 hour light went off and we were running around trying to make the box smaller and dropping stuff. And so we actually thought we had blown the audition completely out of the water. So they said, okay, well, thank you very much for the audition, everybody. If you hear back from us in the next 5 or 10 minutes, the producers would like to have more of a chat to you. If you don't hear from us, thank you very much for going through the process and your story ends here. So we had looked at the other guys on the Zoom and went, wow, they're all amazing. We've had a complete hack at this. So I went down to the stairs to our bar fridge and got a bottle of wine and I thought we'll just celebrate having got this far to the story.
It's all over, Red Rabbit.
Cheers,
thanks a lot.
Yeah. Came back upstairs to hear Trent going, they want us on the phone. So Trent reopened the Zoom. I come running in with 2 glasses of two champagne glasses and a bottle of champagne. and I think it was AJ said, you're celebrating? And I said, well, we thought we'd finished. So yeah.
Commiserating.
That's right. Yeah. And then we had the talk with the producers and, DMAC and everyone was in there and they were sort of asking us different questions about, about us and different things. And, then they said, if you hear from us, again, thank you, that'll be your next step forward. If not, again, thanks for calling. And they rang us the next morning and said, well, the channel, the Endemol Shine rang to say, I can't tell you officially, but you're on the show. So, yeah. So
did they like your dog in a box in the end?
They must have.
Yeah. Then, well, you know, like we
did
thought
they
it
not
was
say
like,
when they spoke to you afterwards?
No. Well, they sort of. I jokingly said. They said, you seem surprised that we've called you back. And I said, well, did you see the other builds? Like,
in saying that though, like since then
we have
seen all the builds, but when you're in that situation, you all you're doing is criticizing yourself and how you know cruddy it must look to other people. But after seeing everyone's build, it actually didn't. It just, for us, it looked bad, you know? And that's the problem on the show as well, is when you're in your peripheral vision, you're seeing all these amazing things coming up around you. It's really hard to block it all out and maintain your confidence in what you're doing yourself, because there's just these beautiful things, you know.
And because you're on Zoom, they look, I know whether it's just me on Zoom, but because they were on Zoom, you couldn't see sort of any sort of errors because they were away on you on a screen.
Beauty filter.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, totally.
So if we have to find out, but if Channel 9 allow us, we'll send you a picture of our dog in a box for your.
Amazing.
You can see.
Did you do the audition in the first year, like where you had to go into the studio to audition, like for the
No, that's when we were in New Zealand and we couldn't come back.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the first time. This last year was the first time you actually got to do the building of the mock.
Correct.
So at that point, you'd been trying to get onto Lego Masters or refused 4 years in a row. Had you started from that first year, starting to build your own creations over the years?
Well, we had done. This sounds terrible because people out there trying really, really hard, and we sound like the role.
We just like sets. I'm sorry, but I
That's not quite true. I had built.
No, we have. It's not that we haven't ever done it. No. It's just it's not something that we consistently do. We love building the sets, and it's sort of a mindfulness thing, you know. So we have done some mocks, but it's not, you know, we're not Joss.
No, we're not Joss. No.
Who, you know, he's constantly building his own stuff.
We had dinner with Joss and Henry yesterday. On Sunday, because we went to catch up with them. Very, very fortunately, they live in Newcastle as well, so we've become this sort of family unit, the Brother Grimms and us. And he had a chance to go to his house and go through his amazing collection of what he's built, and he's just incredibly good. Like his stuff is amazing.
It's epic.
Yeah. So we have, and I've entered I entered a competition locally where you had to build a Newcastle icon. So I built. We have a local football stadium where the Knights play, of course, rah the Knights. And so I built that, but I didn't have enough Lego to build the whole stadium, so I could only build the first half of the stadium. But fortunately, it got second in the competition, so I was quite proud of myself for that one. Yeah.
So that was before you did the build audition for Lego Masters then. So you had done, and is that what you sent a picture of? Because I was just thinking, what were you sending pictures of if you hadn't? Are you just going to take pictures of your sets? Oh yeah, look, I built this set.
So that's what and we jokingly said that. I said, what would you like us to send? And I said, I can send the one we have got a photo of, which is the stadium I built. And then literally what we did was I just tipped some Lego up. So at the same time as your audition build or the application, the Darth Vader helmet had come out. You know, the Darth Vader mask. Yeah. So I tipped that onto the table and just built something from the pieces. So that whole sort of challenge where you make something from a set. So I built this, which I thought was quite cool. This sort of like
Trent's not saying anything.
No, this fantasy deer in all black with these, you know, quite wide sort of forehead and antlers, and it was pretty good. And I sent some photos of that in. They were saying, "Oh, these are great. Can you do more?" So we sent a couple more. Again, just tipping out sets we had boxes of, and just creating things from those sets. So the other photos were us just doing holiday things. Us in Disneyland, us at Legoland. Yeah.
So
just proving.
Have there been any builds on the show so far that what's your favorite build on the show so far? Your own or someone else?
I love my vet hospital. I was so excited about building a vet hospital and putting my vet jokes in there with the CAT scan and the lab tests. And I really liked that one. Yeah, even though Trent almost had an attack trying to make it round, I love the humor in that. I really enjoyed just having some fun and making a joke about a vet hospital. What was your favorite?
I really like, apart from the fact that it was like, just Sweat City, just trying to get Megabone done. I think I don't know, like it's hard.
You liked Egypt.
I did like doing the Egypt build because it's something that we experienced together. So I really enjoyed building that. I wish we'd had a little bit more time, but that's every episode of Lego Masters basically.
How many hours was that one? 10 hours or something?
Sorry?
How many hours was that one? That
was a 10-hour
build. It was 10 hours Egypt.
Yeah. That was a lot. Not a lot.
Yeah, it was after a challenge. Yeah. So we had the drone challenge, and then we had Grandscapes after that. So it was there was a 6-hour drone, it was a 5-hour drone, and there was was it 3-hour drone?
You know,
it was really
three-hour drone, it was
a long night.
Mammoth night.
Yeah, because the drone challenge, we actually entered the SCG about midnight because it's used, I assume, during the day. They had us all waiting in this bus outside Fox Studio for ages, to the point that I'd had so much sugar I'd gone crazy. And I just kept singing the Venga bus from
it was so bad.
The Venga Boys. So I had the whole bus singing the Venga bus for about an hour while we waited to go into the CG. And so I think we left there about 2 a.m. or what have you.
Yeah.
And then was back in to then do the Grandscape. So it felt like we were there a long time for that build. And that was when we had to say goodbye to Ranko Max too. So it was this whole sort of double whammy. It was like being at midnight in the SCG, then doing Grandscapes, then all crying and saying goodbye to Ranko and Max, and they get whisked away again. So yeah, it was a really tough one. But your Egypt, we like. There's a couple coming up that I like as well. So no spoilers, but there are some coming forward that I really like as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint what your favorite build is, because, I mean, for me anyway, it was always
our first build we enjoyed as well.
Challenging to get it all done in the time. Like we're not used to doing that. Like we're used to just doing whenever we want, stopping whenever you want. And suddenly it's like, no, you've got to do it now, and you've got to think of it right now. So it was like, whoa. But I did enjoy like doing the Car of the Future.
I loved your Car of the Future.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite.
It's so weird and quirky, and having those 2 dog pods was just so silly. I just love that sort of stuff. So if it's funny and it's cute and just quirky, then I'm in happy land with Lego. So yeah, that's
and we're really proud that she balanced.
Yeah, well, we were the only ones who actually we actually drew.
Oh yeah,
we traced the size.
We traced
of the plate,
the magnet on a bit of paper.
The inner section of the plate, because it had a inside section. So we traced that, so we knew exactly how the dimensions needed to be. So we knew that we could make it balanced. That wasn't really our concern, really. Yeah.
What was the most challenging novelty build that you've done, like the floating one, the drone, the race car, and the bridge so far? Like the novelty sort of, it's not just building, you've got to have a third party thing in there. Which is your favorite?
Oh, definitely for me, it was the wall of fire.
Oh yeah.
We watching the Cormobile explode and have little Lego heads go everywhere. It was fantastic. We did love Cobb this.
Yeah.
It actually looked amazing. It actually looked like popcorn.
And we were finding Lego heads around that room for weeks afterwards. They actually went everywhere. So even those doors you come through, we found Lego heads out the door. They went everywhere. The poor brick fairies that had to come in and clean up afterwards, they were cursing us because everyone else is sort of like Lego bricks in general just sort of stay where they landed, but the heads just rolled and rolled and rolled.
It was a fun build. Mainly, like we not really built any cars because it's not our thing, but like just to incorporate something from our childhood, because we both were big Wacky Races fans.
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So having that mustache on the front was just hysterical. And so, you know, having like that sort of wacky car that looks like, you know, an actual object like corn was just a lot of fun. And, you know, just the popcorn explosion was epic on screen. Like it really worked well. So we were thrilled because we didn't actually think that we would have a car that launched properly. We were concerned that the back of the car would actually just collapse under the pressure of the plate pushing it. But
because that was the one you couldn't test. You could line it up.
You could line it up, but you
couldn't really see how much force that the lever had.
No idea.
It looks like a lot of force.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Of force. And I was like, it's Lego.
Yeah.
It's gonna break apart.
I know, it's gonna push right through the center.
Yeah.
But the center is where all the heads were sitting.
Yes.
So we just thought the walls of the car would be too thin. It would just plow through the middle of the car, and it wouldn't even leave the
like
launch
raining bricks
it would
off
just
the ramp.
fall off the ramp, and all you'd see coming up the front with your moustache being flung through the hood,
which would have been funny.
Still would have looked good.
Yeah. I think that's the favourite one. The other one that was quite fun to do was the drone. Not because it was a sort of a Lego build, because it was just fun using drones.
Yeah.
And they don't show it because obviously for time. But when Trent did his first drone flight, because you only get to do one, Trent was using the go forward, what he thought was go forward, but it was going up and up and up and up. So to the point that it was as high as the lights in the SG, and everyone's going, press down, press down.
What do you mean, press down?
Yeah,
it was basically. It almost became like we were looking down on the earth.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
the guy, the camera view we had was looking down on the SCG.
But it was a technical difficulty in my defense.
In your defense.
There wasn't your fault.
Difficulty with it, and so it had to be reset.
Yeah, they had to reset the actual remote. Because it could be because Trent broke it, but we don't know that.
Well, we don't know for sure.
Everyone that smashed theirs seemed to think it was very funny.
Oh, you see that on the screen? A lot of those people were much less happy about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Particularly after Nick and Dean had a win. So there were some very unhappy teams who were, So, I guess I probably can't talk too much out of shop. But there was some grumbling in that bus going back to the hotel. I can tell you that much.
Oh, okay. But not so much when it was happening, crying. Stamping.
No, look, you know,
no.
It was funny. Like it's one of those, you know, smashy things that you just laugh. But you know, in retrospect, you kind of go, "Oh my god, I spent so much time on that," and I really wanted that advantage.
Yeah, there were lots of people wanting that advantage.
And you know, we weren't trained on how to use drones.
No, there was no drone practice.
So we just had to wing it. Which is a lot when you end up with an obstacle course. Like we had no idea what we were heading into. We were just told, we were given a chance to like raise it and put it down,
and that was it.
And then there was a tiny like 2-minute window where we could look at the screen and turn left and right and try and bring it back, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot,
and we didn't know at this stage you were leaving the building.
No.
So that was a complete surprise.
Yeah, wow.
They were all suddenly, okay, guys, we're going to leave the building.
Get on the bus.
Yeah. So we just, and then we go,
we sat on a bus for ages.
Yeah. Whatever you do, if you do interview some more of my fellow Lego Masters, don't bring up the Venga bus, because they will be burned. I think I've scarred everyone forever with the Venga bus.
I like to bring that up now.
You know, every week we interview some contestants.
We get a new team each week. Every Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe you could play as the background song just to give them
just to trigger them.
Just to trigger them.
I think Nick and Jean must have had an advantage in that one though, because their job is they're editors or something, aren't they? I reckon they've flown my boyfriend's an editor. He's flown drones. A lot of drones.
Jean actually Jean owns a drone.
Yeah.
So they had a massive advantage in that respect because he actually does
bullshit. I call bullshit.
Yeah, and it came up in the bus. I said, "How amazing, Jean! You are so good at that." And he goes, "I do have a drone." I went, "Oh, come on!"
Should have had professional drone drivers going.
Yeah, actually, we did say that on the bus going home. Is that it should have been? It had a drone driver in who flew everyone's drone to see how it went, to see if it worked.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was. I mean, to be honest, though, there is, even though it's a competition. We all got along so well that there was lots of pats on the back and all sorts of things whenever someone did well. So it was never this sort of like such a strong rivalry that you were bitter about someone else winning. And look, I mean, we all joked about Nick and Jean. It became a Nick and Jean show because they won so many of those.
But we loved their builds. We loved them.
Everyone loved their builds.
Yeah.
It's good. And it's just, it was like, oh my God, again?
You can't be angry when you're playing with Lego all day and everything looks
that's right. Yeah. And I think that because we all had the COVID restrictions, we only had each other to play with anyway. So when we went back to the hotel, it was all sort of, we'd be sort of in each other's rooms, just playing computer games or watching Star Wars or, eating as a family. And I think all the rivalry goes as soon as you leave that set. Like it's all suddenly we're just one big, we're the Walsons. We're all living together, or I guess more the Brady bunch because we were old and they were young. But it was really lovely to have that whole sort of family atmosphere to go home to at the end of each day.
Yeah, we tended not to talk that much shop, to be honest. Like we just it was a chance to just decompress from all of that. Really. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Do you think being one of the few couples on the show like that actually have built together before you had an advantage? Like I know there was a couple of set-up couples and
particularly at the beginning. I would say that certainly at the beginning of the show, it is a massive advantage.
Yeah.
Because you do know so much about each other and the way each other thinks. For people who are individuals coming in, it is really tricky because you're basically getting to know the person next to you while you're building in a competition.
Yeah,
that's a lot to ask of anyone, to be honest.
And I think that shows almost in the show. So some of the teams who are paired, such as Caleb and Alex and Kirsty and Dan, each build they do together gets better because they learn more about each other and they're learning each other.
Yeah,
we did talk about it the first time. Is that it can also be a disadvantage as well. Because if you don't know the other person, you can sort of say, I don't really like that. But when it's your husband, you can't really say, I don't really like that. You sort of go, yeah, that was great, darling. But you actually want to say, that's rubbish, take it off. And so we did, after our second build, I think, or third build together, said, we have to learn to be really honest and not just do the kind husband thing and say, that's terrific, and actually be honest and say, I don't like it. And so,
you saw that
last night. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Trent.
Trent became very good at saying, I don't like that. I held back a little bit. But Trent had no compulsion in saying, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. No, I don't like that.
Now, starting again.
Start again. Yeah.
How did you find the feedback from Brickman?
What was that?
How did you find the feedback from Brickman? Like, was he always constructive and helpful?
Yeah, he was very kind to us. He always had. I mean, he always throws the things in to challenge you. He said, why don't you? Could you make it bigger? Could you make that a different shape or what have you? So there was always
in the last hour.
Yes, and
helpful.
Had it come in the first 5 minutes, perfect. But And one of the times he did sort of do his sort of walk around with everybody, and we were last this time because of the way the tables were arranged. And we had started working on our build with a plan we already had. And by the time it got to us, we'd had a fair bit already laid out down the thing. And he said, "Oh no, I think that won't work." And we're like, "Great." Had you told us that an hour ago, that's an hour we now have up our sleeves, but now we don't.
Excellent.
Not that it wouldn't work, because I think you've misinterpreted the brief a bit. So that was good. But I can't fault Brickman. He is an incredibly clever man, and very helpful and supportive, and just generally wants you to do your best. Like, he's not really trying to create obstacles
he's trying to get the best
problems.
out of you.
He just wants you to really push yourself to the limit and therefore get the best build you can. We were lucky enough to go down to see his Jurassic World exhibit last week. And he came and joined us at a table because they had some lectures in the museum afterwards. And we sat with the Brickman and had a drink and a chat and things. And he's just he just loves Lego. Like, he just has a real passion. And if anyone shares that passion, he just gets so excited by talking about it, sharing it. And he's just a really incredible man, and I can't fault him.
It's always been constructive. And being an educator myself, if you're not like that and you're in a position like that, it really rubs me the wrong way. And I never I never felt that way with Brickman. He was always encouraging, and it was always constructive. It was never delivered in a way that you would just go, okay, well, stuff here. I personally didn't feel that way in any way, shape, or form.
And you'll be some of the times they'll show him, and he looks like he's being harsh.
Yeah,
but that's TV. So when
they're only showing.
He would then actually say, "What I want to say is this, this, and this." So there's TV Brickman, and then there's Brickman. And I get that. You know, he needs to sort of show that there's, he is creating some drama on the set, but that's not who he is. He's very much, okay, that's, I've said that now let's try and fix your problem.
And because of time constraints on the show, obviously, like when he's talking to us, it can go for 10-15 minutes. On the show, it's like a minute
or less,
so it's just the way TV runs.
It does seem like there are some contestants that in the editing shows them to be deliberately going against Brickman's. Maybe that's just for the drama, and they've edited it in that way, or I don't know. But we're just like, oh God, no, don't! You've got to listen to Brickman. You're going to get eliminated if you don't listen.
And look, there is a challenging competitor in this season, and she didn't always agree with Brickman, and there were some challenges in that relationship. For all of us in that relationship. So so I actually hear that, is that they're I guess for Brickman, how you can't always get along with everybody, and so I think sometimes that does come through. But you're right, if you don't do what the judge is suggesting you do, then bad decision.
It can be. There are times where it actually does work out. True. Like he's not infallible, and he doesn't always know exactly where you're heading when you're talking about where you're heading. So there are times where he will admit that he's wrong.
Kirsty's wall.
Like Kirsty's wall.
Kirsty's wall behind the
lighthouse was.
He was really
stunning.
saying, just do something
There's
else.
Too much
now.
time. You're wasting too much time. This is,
and it turned out.
So there are times where he doesn't quite get it, but
also he's just one man's opinions too. So I think it's hard for him too, because he thinks in his head, this is what I would do for this challenge, and then he's presented with 8 different ideas of how they would challenge them, and so it's obvious you lean towards the ones that you would think you would do, and obviously it'd be hard to not be biased to the ones that you would think would be what you would do in this. But I think he's very, very good in letting that bias go. And if he has been shown that what he recommended wasn't going to work and this now looks better, he's very honest about saying, I was wrong, you were right.
Yeah.
Like he
gets very excited, doesn't he? When
he does.
It seems like he really enjoys that, because he's just like, oh my God, done this thing with Lego that I totally didn't believe you could do. Like,
absolutely.
I'm the master.
And he he is what you see on TV. Like, so that excitement that you have with him on while he's being filmed is exactly who he is when the cameras go away as well. Like he's easily excited by anything Lego.
I love it.
It's almost 7:30, which means it's almost time for the next episode of Lego Masters to air. I think we might
watch it, right?
So normally we watch it with a group of friends out at the pub, but because of you enjoying your company this evening, we're going to have our first one at home alone. So
thank you for giving us your time. You guys are an absolute delight, and there was some people on the chat that were also talking about how amazing you are to watch. So we love watching you. Can't wait to see what you do tonight.
Yes. Well, yeah, you're in for a real ride tonight.
Oh yeah.
No spoilers, but yeah. Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Are you appearing at any of the Lego shows coming up that we can promote?
We can't get to the Sydney one, but we'll definitely at the Newcastle one. Actually, the Newcastle show will have almost every Lego Master at it.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Season 4 table, really.
Yeah. So they nickname us. Well, the Brothers Grimm nickname us the Brickless Bozos, as they did from the very first day. And so we have a table at the Newcastle show titled the Brickless Bozos. So all the Lego Masters will be there. So yeah, come along to Newcastle for sure. And there's a lot of people going to Sydney. So we are unfortunately
there's quite a few of the cast going to Sydney.
Yeah, Channel 9 are flying us to Melbourne for some promo stuff. So we missed this weekend with the guys. But yeah, there'll be a lot of the guys in Sydney.
Are you going to a certain Lego store opening on Thursday night?
Well, no spoilers.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll be there, so.
We'll be there. So,
no.
Melbourne Central?
No, unfortunately, we arrive on Friday.
We arrive on Friday.
Yeah. But we will definitely go in and have a look.
But it is very exciting.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah.
I will wrap up the live stream now and just hold on 5 seconds. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
and thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll end the live stream here so you can head on to watch the latest episode. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, guys.
Bye.